Hey again, this is Manny, one of the producers of the channel. I just want to let you know that the episodes are now podcasts too. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Audible, Pandora, and pretty much anywhere you listen. Same cozy stories, just easier to take on the go and with no ads. Just look us up by the same name, Deep Sleep Stories, and search for our logo. I'm also adding the links in the description below. Thank you so much for the support.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a gentle space where the soft lull of words and the comforting hush of imagination carry you toward serenity. Take a moment to notice how the breath moves through your body, warm and soothing. Inhale, feeling your lungs expand slowly. Exhale, releasing the events of the day. Allow each breath to guide you closer to that subtle, comforting place within, where calmness resides. Here, you are invited to rest, to let your thoughts drift like little boats on a tranquil stream. Tonight, you will be guided into a quiet world of rain-kissed forests and glowing lanterns, a realm where Hansel and Gretel embark on a lantern walk beneath gentle raindrops. Let the sound of each word settle over you like a soft blanket, slowly easing you deeper into relaxation. Feel the day's tension fade as you sink into your chosen place of rest. If you notice any tightness in your shoulders or a lingering sensation in your mind, simply let it go on the next exhale. There's no need to rush. Time has a slower rhythm here. You may hear the faint patter of rain in your mind's ear, or sense the warm glow of a lantern through half-closed eyes. Perhaps a memory of childhood comfort rises, that recollection of a quiet, rainy afternoon spent indoors, where the aroma of damp earth and the promise of a cozy haven filled your senses. Let that memory become a tender background as you continue to breathe softly and evenly. In the story to come, you'll find Hansel and Gretel in their humble home, preparing to venture outside with lanterns in hand on a rainy day. Their world is warm, safe, and filled with small moments of magic that invite you deeper into their gentle tale. Before you begin this comforting journey, take one more peaceful breath. Feel how the air flows in and out, carrying with it all the calm you need. Now, let the dreamlike narrative unfold around you, effortlessly guiding you into its embrace. Long, long ago, in a cozy wooden cottage nestled at the edge of a lush green forest, Hansel and Gretel were just finishing their midday chores. A gentle rain had begun to fall, its delicate rhythm tapping softly against the cottage windows. The siblings lived in a realm where even rainy days felt comforting, as if the sky itself were sending down a lullaby to nurture the sleepy land below. Inside the kitchen, a faint glow from the hearth illuminated a small wooden table. Upon it stood two colorful lanterns, lovingly polished until they shone, ready to cast their warm light into the misty afternoon. Hansel had been the first to wake that day, stirred by the patter of raindrops against the roof. He loved the gentle hush of the forest on such days. He would stand by the window and watch the small droplets gather and slide down the glass, forming tiny streams. Meanwhile, Gretel quietly prepared tea, its fragrant steam curling up from the teapot. The siblings had been excited all morning, knowing they would embark on a little lantern walk as soon as the rain softened enough for them to wander safely along the forest paths. Their mother, with a kindly smile, peeked in from the adjoining room, noticing the glow in her children's eyes. She had prepared them both a warm, nurturing meal, making sure their bellies were content and their hearts light before she encouraged them to step outside. There was no hurry, though. Each moment was treasured like a precious gem, every slow sip of tea drawing them further into the gentle rhythm of the day. When at last the downpour subsided, leaving behind a comforting drizzle, Hansel lifted his lantern and gave Gretel a playful grin. They slipped on their light cloaks, soft, weather-worn garments that carried the faint scent of the forest. Gretel's cloak was a deep lavender hue, reminding her of evening skies, while Hansel's was a subdued moss green, echoing the emerald tones of the trees. Each cloak was lined with a simple, warm fabric, making it perfect for a walk in the gentle, misty rain. The pair stepped onto their small porch, their lanterns already glowing in the muted daylight. The porch faced a winding dirt path that led into the forest. Beneath their feet, the wooden boards creaked ever so slightly, adding to the peaceful chorus of nature's sounds. The sweet, earthy fragrance of damp soil wafted through the air, blending with the resinous scent of pine needles. Hansel and Gretel paused, taking in the forest before them, watching how the raindrops sparkled like tiny diamonds on leaves and needles. They began their walk at a languid pace, letting the world around them unfold slowly. Each step felt like an invitation to notice something new. The soft hiss of water dripping onto moss, the gentle shuffle of pine cones underfoot, or the silvery glisten of puddles collecting on stones. Overhead, the sky was a gentle grey, as though wrapped in the softest wool. But even under that quiet sky, there was a sense of anticipation, an awareness of the forest's hidden wonders. In the hush of the woods, the siblings' lanterns cast a gentle glow that flickered over tree trunks and across small patches of damp grass. The children took turns pointing out subtle treasures, a snail inching its way across a leaf, or a cluster of mushrooms nestled at the base of a tall oak. Both Hansel and Gretel had been taught to respect the forest. They never forgot to pause and take in the whispered wisdom of the ancient trees, which seemed to bend and sway in harmony with the songs of the clouds. As they ventured deeper, the rainlight took on a softly enchanting quality. Each drop on a leaf became a tiny lens, capturing little fragments of the siblings' lantern light and reflecting them back in miniature gleams. Gretel marveled at the shapes of fern fronds, each curled edge holding a bead of water. Hansel took note of the toadstools, their tops glistening beneath the swirling droplets. Occasionally, they would exchange a playful giggle, not from any particular joke, but from the shared joy of being in this serene realm. Their closeness felt like a warm safety net that made even the hint of twilight in the sky comforting rather than daunting. Before long, the pair came to a gently winding path where the forest canopy formed a natural arch. Here, the branches overhead interlaced to create a living tunnel, complete with leaves that gathered small raindrops in their hollows, releasing them only when the breeze whispered through. The siblings slowed their steps, allowing the lantern light to guide them over uneven ground. The airy hush of the leaves above wrapped them in a sense of calm, as though time itself were moving with a quieter step. Hansel gazed up, noticing the subdued light filtering through the leaves. Even though a calm drizzle continued, the canopy offered a comforting shield. He closed his eyes for a moment and listened to the patter of raindrops falling upon the leaves, the soft echoes of water dripping from branch to branch. Gretel smiled at her brother's moment of stillness, sensing that he, like her, felt drawn into the tranquil aura of the woods. When he opened his eyes, they continued on, letting the gentle murmur of rain accompany their thoughts. Not far along, they spotted a clear pool forming where the ground dipped slightly near a cluster of rocks. The water mirrored the forest canopy, creating a quiet reflection. Hansel and Gretel paused, kneeling at the edge of the pool with their lanterns close. In the reflection, they saw their faces illuminated in a warm, golden glow. It made them smile to see how the rippling water softened their features, lending a dreamlike shimmer to their surroundings. Gretel giggled softly, flicking a fingertip through the water to create a series of little rings that rippled outwards, distorting the reflection into ever-shifting patterns. Slowly they moved on from the reflecting pool, drawn by the subdued glimmer of rain-washed greenery. Soon they reached an open clearing bordered by tall, graceful spruces. Here, the sky peeked through once more. The drizzle lightened to a faint mist, revealing patches of pale grey-blue overhead. Hansel held his lantern higher, its gentle luminance highlighting the tree trunks, which stood straight and tall, like sentinels guarding a secret realm. In the middle of the clearing stood a large, mossy rock, an old resting spot they both recognized from countless previous outings. They approached the rock with reverence, carefully brushing away loose twigs before settling down. The moss was thick and springy, so inviting that it felt like nature's own cushion. Gretel rested the lantern beside her, watching how its soft flame danced behind the glass. Hansel sighed contentedly, letting the hush of the forest seep into his bones. Nearby, water droplets fell from leaf to leaf, forming a gentle melody that lulled their thoughts into a pleasant drowsiness. While they rested, the siblings noticed a delicate breeze stirring the treetops, causing the branches to sway in a slow, calming rhythm. The breeze carried with it the scent of wet earth and pine resin, a medley of aromas that made them feel cocooned in nature's gentle embrace. Hansel and Gretel stayed there for quite some time, content just to listen and observe, allowing their bodies and minds to align with the unhurried pace of the day. Eventually, as the coolness of the damp air began to settle more firmly around them, Hansel suggested they continue their walk, following a path that curved around the tall spruces and led deeper into the heart of the forest. Gretel nodded, her eyes shining with the soft curiosity that always bloomed when she explored this enchanted place. They retrieved their lanterns, rose from the mossy seat, and ventured on, steps measured and unhurried. A short distance away, they found a gentle slope that descended into a patch of old-growth trees. The trunks here were massive, their bark thick and layered like ancient scrolls. The ground was covered in a lush carpet of fern and leaf litter, forming a natural tapestry underfoot. Tiny white wildflowers peeked through the greenery, their petals trembling under the weight of lingering raindrops. Hansel carefully leaned down to admire the blossoms, noting how fragile they appeared, and yet how resilient they were in the damp forest environment. Gretel, meanwhile, trailed her fingertips along the rough bark of a centuries-old oak, sensing the layered wisdom in its ridges. She imagined the stories this tree might have witnessed, the changing seasons, the gentle growth of mushrooms at its base, the playful chatter of forest animals seeking shelter in its hollow. A faint smile spread across her lips as she pictured birds building nests high above, singing lullabies to their hatchlings beneath the sturdy canopy. The path wound deeper, revealing a small wooden bridge that spanned a trickling creek. The creek's water was crystal clear, tumbling over smooth stones, creating gentle gurgles and burbles that harmonized with the soft hush of rain. Hansel and Gretel stepped onto the bridge, leaning over the simple railing to watch the water flow beneath their lantern's glow. The creek reflected their golden light, sending ripples of shimmering brightness across the stones. Somewhere beyond the creek, birds stirred in the undergrowth. The siblings caught glimpses of delicate wings and fluttering feathers as small forest birds hopped among the ferns, occasionally peeking out to observe the visitors. The forest animals seemed to sense the children's calm presence and welcomed their slow passage. It was a realm of quiet companionship, where creatures and people coexisted in the gentle hum of rain and rustling leaves. Crossing the little bridge, they came across a large grove of birch trees, their white bark almost luminescent against the damp, shadowed forest floor. The leaves overhead caught the last few raindrops, causing them to glisten like tiny crystals. Hansel gazed upward, momentarily mesmerized by the shifting tapestry of leaf and light. Gretel noticed clusters of mushrooms sprouting near the base of these slender trunks, each fungus a small wonder, spreading in delicate fans and shelves of subtle beige and cream. In this grove, they decided to linger, resting their lanterns on a low tree stump. Their eyes gradually adjusted to the forest's dusky light, which seemed tinted with soft pastel hues now that the heavier rain clouds had passed. The quiet moment gave them an opportunity to reflect on how the forest felt like a living tapestry. Every step they took unveiled new textures and scents, each sensation flowing gently into the next. A few scattered raindrops fell from the highest branches, but the siblings barely noticed. They were too captivated by the hush that now enveloped everything. They could hear their own gentle breathing and the forest's reassuring pulse, as though nature herself exhaled in contentment. It felt to them as if time had stepped aside to let them wander freely, unbound by the rush of ordinary life. Eventually, Hansel broke the silence, suggesting they head toward an old footpath leading back to the main trail. Gretel agreed with a soft nod, and they picked up their lanterns. Their pace remained unhurried, every step a chance to savor the lingering mist. Around them, the forest quietly revealed its secrets, the glint of a hidden spider's web, the swirl of soft moss covering a fallen branch, the hush of a hidden clearing where the ground gently sloped into a hollow ringed with moss-covered stones. The raindrops had eased into a gentle mist, enough to give the leaves a fine shimmer without soaking the ground anew. Each breath the siblings took was tinged with the faint scent of damp foliage, bringing a sense of renewal with every inhalation. As the light shifted in the sky, Hansel noticed that the day was slipping toward dusk, and a dreamy twilight would soon cloak the woods. He and Gretel exchanged knowing smiles, for they enjoyed how the lantern walk took on a special, magical air once dusk approached. The path guided them to a familiar spot, a small circle of towering pines where the ground was soft with dried needles. This was often their resting place on longer walks, and they'd nicknamed it the Pine Circle. Here, they placed their lanterns on the earth, allowing the glow to illuminate a modest swath of ground. Gretel shook off any lingering droplets from her cloak and sat down, leaning her back against a sturdy trunk. Hansel followed, choosing a pine across from her so they could watch each other's expressions in the soft, flickering light. They listened to the wind sigh gently through the branches above, a hushed lullaby that seemed to cradle their tired bodies. The day had been quietly magical, and now the nearing twilight beckoned them into a deeper sense of calm. Hansel noticed how the air felt cooler on his cheeks, a reminder that night would soon unfold its starry tapestry. Gretel closed her eyes for a few moments, feeling the rhythmic rise and fall of her chest, letting her mind wander in a tranquil drift. Although they were in the heart of the forest, the siblings never felt lost or alone. They knew these paths intimately and trusted in the simple, guiding glow of their lanterns. The forest had always embraced them with a gentle spirit. Even the faint hoots of an early owl in the distance felt comforting, like a guardian watching over the hush of evening. The siblings felt safe, cocooned by nature's soft presence. After a time, they rose and quietly left the pine circle, following the path that would eventually curve back toward home. Darkness settled gently around them now, and their lantern light cut a small circle of brightness around their feet, illuminating rocks, fallen leaves, and twigs. The forest shifted its tone, readying itself for the night. Shadows stretched into tall silhouettes, and the little rustles of hidden creatures became more frequent. Yet the siblings felt no fear. The woods at night, especially in the comforting drizzle that still hung in the air, was like an old friend whispering lullabies between each rustle and breath. They crossed back over the trickling creek, now deeper in shadow, and the reflection of their lanterns looked like wobbly golden orbs dancing atop the dark water. The gentle gurgle of the creek had not changed, and its continuity reassured them that they were on the correct path home. Passing under old trees and through small clearings, they came upon the familiar arch of branches where they'd first entered. A soft gratitude filled them as they realized how the forest seemed to watch over them, allowing them to return without hurry. At last, the siblings spotted the outline of their cottage in the distance. Its windows glowed with the promise of warmth, and small tendrils of smoke curled up from the chimney. Their steps quickened slightly, drawn by the cozy sight, but they still preserved the gentle pace. The drizzle had nearly ceased, and the forest wore a sheen of calmness, as though satisfied by the gentle watering from the clouds. Hansel and Gretel paused at the edge of the trees, taking one final look back into the quiet woods, where delicate mists lingered among the tall trunks. With calm hearts, they approached their humble home. The wooden porch, still damp from the day's rain, offered a homey creak as they stepped onto it. Hansel carefully extinguished his lantern, while Gretel did the same, each turning the tiny key on the lantern's side to douse the flame. The soft smoke that rose smelled faintly of warm oil and metal, a final note of the day's adventure. They opened the door, stepping into the gentle glow of the cottage's interior. Inside, their mother greeted them with a comforting smile, offering them each a warm towel to dry their hair. The aroma of a simple dinner still lingered in the air, and a low fire glowed in the hearth. Hansel and Gretel set their cloaks on a peg, then placed their lanterns on a small side table. A hush of contentment filled the cottage as the siblings exchanged knowing smiles. They felt renewed by their peaceful excursion, their hearts quietly brimming with the forest's soft enchantments. Now, with the day's adventures behind them, they prepared for a restful evening. Gretel busied herself pouring a warm drink, perhaps a light herbal infusion. Hansel took a seat beside the fire, basking in its glow. The gentle crackle of burning wood provided a reassuring soundtrack for the close of day. Their mother set out a small plate of bread and butter, and together they shared a simple supper, reliving moments of their tranquil walk as the evening shadows deepened. The rain outside had all but stopped, though every so often a stray drop tapped against the window, reminding them of the forest's lingering lullaby. After supper, they each found a comfortable spot near the hearth. The soft light flickered on the cottage walls, dancing across the beams of the ceiling. Everything felt slow and gentle, as though the entire world had decided to pause for a moment of rest. Hansel and Gretel let out contented sighs, the kind that naturally arise when you feel at peace in your surroundings. At some unspoken cue, they both stood, feeling drawn to their bedrooms. Sleep was calling them, a soft invitation that promised warmth and comfort. Their mother bid them good night with a tender smile, and the siblings parted ways in the hallway. Gretel disappeared into her small room, where a cozy bed piled with blankets awaited, while Hansel stepped into his own space, equally warm and inviting. Outside, the hush of night finally settled over the forest, and the hush inside the cottage was no less serene. Now, as the warmth of this gentle story softens in your thoughts, it is time to drift even deeper into rest. Let each breath slow. Let your mind settle into the safe, quiet space you have created. No tasks await you now. No distractions need your attention. The day's rain has washed away lingering tension, and you can allow yourself the gift of complete relaxation. Feel your body grow heavy against your bed or pillow, feeling as though it could melt into the softness beneath. The limbs loosen, the neck relaxes, and the eyes grow peaceful behind gently closed lids. Imagine the soothing glow of Hansel's and Gretel's lanterns, that soft amber light, gently illuminating the calm space around them. It's a warm, welcoming glow, surrounding you as well, offering rest and comfort. Any thoughts that arise are simply clouds drifting across a vast sky. You don't need to hold on to them. You can watch them float away, leaving only a tranquil, open space behind. The rhythm of your breath becomes the only lullaby you need, slow and steady, reminding you of the gentle rain in the forest. On each exhale, release any trace of remaining tension. On each inhale, gather the calm energy of a restful night. Imagine, if you like, that you walk through the forest once more, enveloped by the scent of damp earth and pine, guided by a safe, nurturing light. But this time, the path is shorter, easier, and it leads you to the peaceful clearing of deep sleep. There, the soft hush of the trees, the melody of water, and the hum of nighttime creatures bid you welcome. You step into that quiet ring of shelter, letting the gentle hush hold you close. Then, settle down. Let everything grow dim and soft. Let your breathing slow even further, calm and measured. If you notice small thoughts, simply release them with the next exhale. Drift deeper, sinking into an ocean of rest where time no longer rushes and hush cradles you gently. Let the story's memory, the rain, the lanterns, the tender glow, accompany you only as a soft backdrop, a lull in the quiet of night. Now, dear traveler, close your eyes completely to the world. There is nothing more you need to do or see. Rest is here, waiting like a calm friend. Trust in the soothing rhythms of this rainy day tale. Allow the hush to embrace you, guiding you toward a gentle, restoring sleep. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.